Howdy ho guys, and welcome to the Bojin vlog. Hope you're doing well. It's late at night for me, this is the same recording session as the previous entry, but today I wanted to talk about something that's related to the previous entry I did, right, which was quite a heavy entry, or I should say controversial, because it relates to something I realized recently, and it's a big realization for me, but like at the same time it's something that I feel is gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way if I'm honest about it. But at the same time, it's the way forwards, right? And like essentially, like we will get to a point where like only our pain remains, and the only way to move forward is to push past that pain. And like we delay it and we delay it and we delay it, and we keep delaying it until we reach a point that is kind of beyond our control a bit. Like we don't like, because I don't know why the fuck this happened for me right now, but like it happened that my ego just suffered a meltdown basically. And once I went through that egoic meltdown, that was when I was finally able to be like kind of hopeful about all of the deep-rooted problems that I have. But anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into that. Like if you're interested in what I'm talking about, I kind of implore you to watch the previous video. But in this entry, I kind of wanted to extend a bit on that, which is talking about, again, like I've done a lot of videos recently about doing what you love and kind of living a life of freedom. All of these are big values of mine. If you watch any of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm big on living a life that is heart-centered, and this isn't a new concept. A lot of people swear by this mantra essentially, but I'm one of those people, and I believe in doing what you love. I believe of living a life of freedom and benevolence, in the sense that like I feel that there's a lot of unnecessary suffering and pain in this world. Not to say that pain and suffering are wrong. Again, this is another component to my teachings. Like I talk about tapping into your sensitivity, just to give it further recap on that, because I feel it's important. Being more sensitive means being more in touch with your feelings, right? Because a lot of us get into like the vast majority of us in society get into trouble because we don't listen to our feelings. And listening to your feelings involves listening to your feelings for the things that will heal you. So like following your joy, and in training more and more of the feeling of love will allow you to be a better self-healer. And like that sounds very fancy, but like honestly all it means is like society tells you to be a certain way, right? But that ideal, that society ideal of like the ideal citizen or the ideal man or the ideal woman, can be at odds with like our own livelihood. When we feel that we have to live up to the expectations of society, and we feel that stress and anxiety come up, that depression that a lot of us feel, that emptiness, right, that a lot of us don't want to admit to, that means that we have lost the ability to heal ourselves, right? And like it's the same as eating, like if you didn't eat you would die, and like that's the same with emotions, honestly. It's not quite as acute or obvious, but like emotional deprivation is the main reason why like people are miserable, people contract illnesses, all that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but like yes, tapping into your sensitivity, that's one of my main teachings. And of course, in line with that, recently I've been kind of like giving more insights and more kind of my own perspective on living a life that you love, and spreading that message out to whoever's watching these videos. But along with the realization recently, that I had in the previous entry, I outlined in the previous entry, I realized something important about pursuing your passion, pursuing your love, right? Which is, again, I've already touched upon this, but this is like further extension on that, right? A lot of us don't pursue our love or our passions confidently because of our subconscious beliefs, basically, right? So the best thing to do here is to illustrate with my own example, right? So I'm a musician, I'm a musician, I'm also a gamer, personal development, spirituality, like just, this whole journey, this whole internal journey, that's one thing. I call it conscious development as well. That, music and games are my three passions, basically, my three main passions in life. Physical passions, right? But I'm a musician and I'm also a singer, right? And singing was probably the first thing that I did that was my own thing, because like even though like I'm a gamer, like I feel that I was kind of shown into gaming by someone, my family, Music is a similar thing, like even though like I have my own taste in music, like, well, the whole kind of like in terms of like how I got into music, that was given to me also, right? But like singing was the first activity that I did that was my own initiation. I did it out of my own initiative, right? I started singing like in my teens, probably like 13, 14, right? And I fell in love with it instantly because like it was a way for me to express myself and to like tap into my own feeling. Obviously I didn't know how to articulate it at the time, but like it was my way of like expressing my feelings as a creative, as an artist, as a lover, as a healer, right? I discovered that I am of the healer archetype primarily. That's kind of my primary role here. But singing was my first gift to myself. But singing has been a rocky road, it has presented a rocky road for me because I don't have that great a range as a singer, right? And like as a man, like if you're not a tenor, you suck basically, or at least that was my perception, right? Like I'm kind of like a baritone essentially, like I can sing comfortably up to maybe like an E, which is like mid-range for tenors, right? What's an E? I think that's an E, right? I think that's an E. But yeah, and I can't sing very comfortably above that, right? And like I've always had this problem because of this. I like, at the same time that I enjoyed singing, I was also afraid of it because I knew that there was this point in my voice that I couldn't go over. And I've struggled for this for years and it's broken my heart because I love singing. But like it's caused singing to kind of be pushed onto the back burner for me, And I can't exactly call myself a singer because of this crippling disability that I have, right? Or rather, that is how I thought of singing before like I had this realization recently, right? And along with this realization, I also realized, it just so happened that I was randomly singing in my car, right? And I was trying to sing like, there's a Korean boy band or ex-boy band called Dongban Shingi, right? TBSK, TVXQ. You have many names based like depending on what language you want to use, right? But like they sing ballads, right? And like they tend to sing really high. And like I've never been able to sing their songs comfortably because I'm just not high enough, right? But like just alongside this realization, it just occurred to me, I was like, wait a minute. Why can't I sing this? It's not as if I don't have the range necessarily, because like I have hit high notes, like I've hit like a high E. So like, what's an E? Right? Like I've hit like an E before, like I've hit high notes before. It's just that like I've always had to force them, and I can't sing them consistently. But then I realized as I was sitting there in my car, singing this Doma Shingi song, it was actually Wasure Naide, which is one of their later songs before they disbanded, right? And I just sang, and like for the first time, I released expectations of myself to be good. And that's my message in this video, basically, right? I want to introduce to you the thought that perhaps the reason why you suck, or like, that's the abrasive way of putting it, but like, you have an inability to go beyond a certain point in what you love, you know, you can't make that hobby into like a full-blown bona fide passion, is because of the expectation to be good. Right? And it's kind of a tough pill to swallow. So like, again, you know, this is one of those things. Because like we're fed essentially in society that like we have to be good at the things we do. If we're not good, why the fuck are you doing it? You should just fucking give up. You know, if you can't sing consistently, using my own example again, like if you can't sing like fucking Hero or Sha Junsu from DBSK, fucking stop that shit. No one wants to hear that shit. Even when you hear it, like you're like, ugh, like I can't sing like Hero or Sha from DBSK. Maybe I'm just a fucking failure. And I recognize this in myself, and because of like, you know, recently, you know, my like again, you know, I went through Egoic Meltdown. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna sing as comfortably as I can, and if it turns out to be shit, who gives a shit? You know, 風になってそっと包みたい. It's like my voice is wobbly. It's wispy. But you know what? As long as I can sing in that range, and I am having fun singing, who gives a shit? Right? Who gives a shit? And this is very powerful, right? And I don't know if I can, you know, this is, again, you know, this is difficult to kind of transmit to you if you don't understand what it, like the pain, if you haven't gone through enough pain that the ego gives you. It's telling you that you have to be good, otherwise there's no point. Like when I sing Wasure Naide, I have to be perfect. My tonality has to be perfect. My voice can't be wispy. Like my runs have to be perfect. Like there can't be any sign of strain in my voice. I'm already fucking shooting myself in the foot. Because like I'll always strain and force my voice. And it's never going to come from a place of like passion and love, because the first thing is always that force, that you know, that deliberate forcing of the voice to be perfect. And that stress and pressure and force was what was stopping me from A, enjoying singing fully, and B, actually becoming good. Because like, you know, you probably heard this before, like you hear people say like, in order to be good, or at least I hope you've heard this, because I think it's exactly what I'm saying, right? In order to be good, you have to release resistance to being shit. You have to release resistance to sucking. Because in order to be good, you have to allow yourself to suck. And to release all attachment to that. And to allow yourself to suck. And give permission to yourself to suck. Because sucking, at least, is you connecting with the process. Because when you're trying to force yourself to be good, and like just forcing your voice, right? There's no way you can enjoy that. There is no way you can relax your voice to such an extent that you actually build, artistry in it. That is your sticking point. I hope I'm kind of being clear here. This is very important. It's important, and yet it's very difficult to teach. And if anything, like, I'm a bit hesitant because this kind of thing only comes about through like one's kind of own journey. This is something you only realize when you have banged your head against the wall enough times, when you have strained your voice for so many years, thinking that you will never hit the same notes or the same degree of smoothness as some of the best singers out there. The point at which that pain becomes unbearable and you just fucking give up. And that's the point where you realize, you know what? Who cares if I suck? The only thing that's really important is to enjoy what I'm doing. Because, like, someone who forces themselves to perfect their art in a neurotic way will never become an artist. Because to be an artist, I'm just using my own example of being an artist, right? But, like, really, when I say art, this applies to any area of life that requires your attentiveness, that requires your love, in order for that area to blossom and to flourish, right? In order to become an artist and to love, to inject your love into something so that it will grow and blossom and flourish, you have to feel and allow yourself to be an artist first and foremost, even if that means being technically shit at something. Because the most important thing is to love what you do. Call it whatever you want, to enjoy what you do, to love what you do, to be passionate about what you do, whatever you want to call it, right? But like, the very first step is to be an artist. To, when you sing, to put your emotions there. So that when your voice rises, you feel that hype energy of rising and becoming stronger. When you sing a very melancholy or touching line, you feel those warm feelings within you, and you let that carry your voice and your art. That is the most important thing. Being technically good will come after. But like, the thing that really hits home is like, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if you're shit? If you can't be an artist, if you can't enjoy your art, if doing your art poisons your soul, why are you doing it in the first place? Yeah, it's because of the expectation to be good, isn't it? So fuck that shit. Fuck being good. If it means you can't love what you do, fuck that shit. And just focus on doing it because you love it. Because you have something really poignant that you want to share with people. Make that the reason that you do your art. That you sing, that you paint, that you dance, that you run your business, that you raise your family. Make that the reason. Don't think about whether you're a good artist or a bad artist, or a good parent or a bad parent, or a good musician or a bad musician, a good entrepreneur or a bad entrepreneur. Don't think about that shit just yet. Because the expectation to be good is what's poisoning you. That shit will come later. The first thing is to connect with the love that you have for that thing and to enjoy it. That is the first thing. And if you do that, I can see you being good. Honestly, I can see you being a fucking genius at what you do, and being world class, because you are first and foremost an artist to the bone, and that is fucking beautiful. So cool. Hope that was insightful. I hope you guys will keep doing what you love. Do it because you love it. Cool. Awesome. I will catch you guys in the next entry. Peace out and good night, or good morning, or whatever time it is for you. Peace out, guys. Whoosh.